Hello. This is a video to try to help you understand two-column proofs. There are some things that you can look at that will help you with a two-column proof. First of all, your first statement will always be what was given to you. Your first statement should always be what's given to you. Your last statement should be, which goes on the left-hand side. The very last thing is what you're trying to prove. When you come over and write your reasons over here on the right hand side, there will never, ever, never be a proof. There could be a given, but there will never be a proof. The other thing that you need to kind of look at is a couple of things. Make sure that you mark up your picture, and if you could, look at this paper that I gave you. You know, if two triangles butt up next to each other, you should be thinking of the reflexive property. If two triangles have a cross, they cross one another, two lines cross one another, you should be thinking of vertical angles. And then these are a lot of geometry. These are a lot of vocab. So if you say segment bisector, you know that you should be writing something else down about the segment bisector. If you say midpoint, you know you should be writing something else down about the midpoint. It bisects, it cuts those line segments into half, into two equal line segments. So you mention what those two other line segments are. Angle bisector, when it's an angle bisector, it cuts that angle in half. So that you should be mentioning what are those angles that it cut in half. And remember, when you have an angle, you got to have three letters, and the middle letter is the angle that you're talking about, the middle letter. Okay, so let's get started. One, WZ is congruent to ZS, which is congruent to SD. Oops, I guess I didn't put these down. And which is congruent to DW. I forgot to mark these. This was Z and this was D, W, and S. Okay, so one, these WZ is equal to ZS, mark it, which is equal to SD, which is equal to DW. Marked them all, and the reason was those were all given to me up here. So I show it down here, and I marked it on my picture. Next thing, look to see if it's one of those, look to see they butt up next to each other, two triangles that butt up next to each other. So I'm going to be thinking of reflexive. So reflexive. Number two, ZD is going to be congruent to ZD. Why? Because it was the reflexive. Reflexive property. Okay, next, is there enough information here to say that I have two triangles congruent? So if you remember, there was side, side, side. There was side, angle, side with the angle in between the two sides. There's angle, angle, side, and there's angle, side, angle with the side in between the two angles. And then the other one is HL, which we haven't gotten to yet. So yes, there's enough information. I have a side, side, side in this triangle, and I have a side, side, side in that triangle. So my third reason is going to be because of side, side, side. And what is it I'm trying to prove? Triangle WZD is congruent to triangle SDZ. I can't write one of these five reasons until I say triangle. When I say triangle, then I can write one of those five reasons. The next thing is another proof. So one, given X is the midpoint of AG and NR. The reason, it was given to me. Right there, given. All right, so here I have a definition, a vocabulary word. So when I said midpoint on this, what did it do? It cut this line segment into two equal parts. So looking at my picture, it cut this line segment into two equal parts. All right, so name those parts. AX is going to be congruent to GX. Why? Because that's what the definition of a midpoint is. That's the reason why. And then also it said that it cut the other one. So NX is going to be congruent to RX because of the definition of a midpoint. So all I need is one more thing. And I see that these two cross one another. And so if they cross one another, I should be thinking of vertical angles. So I can say in here that this angle is equal to that. So I have to mention what those angles are. Angle AXN is going to be congruent to angle GXR because of vertical angles. And so now do I have enough information? I have a side, I have an angle, and I have a side. Side, angle, side. And the angle is in between the two sides. So I can come and say triangle ANX is congruent to triangle GRX because of side, angle, side.